All right, welcome. Wait a minute, that's the wrong music. What's going on here? No, wait, wait. We got a crossover here, and they kind of sound good together, don't they? Kind
Yeah.
of like that. So some of you are probably wondering what is going on here. Where's Todd? Well, you know what? We're trying a new experiment here. We've gotten a good friend of ours, Daria Bagina, here. She is working with us on some Scrum Master interview questions and some Scrum Master ideas, becoming a Scrum Master, all of these wonderful things. We get so many questions from and Daria, I'm sure you get them in your community as well. How do I become a
Yeah.
Scrum Master? What does it take to become a Scrum Master? What's the life of a Scrum Master? What's a typical day? What are the interview questions? And so we thought, why don't we just test this out?
Yeah.
Right? Why don't we run an experiment? And so Daria had this great idea of, a great experiment could be interview questions. And I thought that
Yeah.
sounds cool. But then we decided like she's going to interview me. And I thought this is kind of scary. I haven't been interviewed for a long time. But what we're trying to do with this episode is present an interview question that you're probably going to run into as a Scrum Master. One of us will answer it. I think I'm on the hot seat today. We'll give a breakdown of it, and then we'll see your thoughts in the comments. And so, Daria, I think fire away.
There you go. Very good question. And because Scrum Framework, we're trying to implement it, obviously, in our organizations. Ryan, based on your experience, what is one aspect of the Scrum Framework that companies are always getting wrong?
It's a really good question, and it's something that across my career, the events have been used in various different ways in various different contexts, right? And so, but the one event that I always look at to help me kind of understand where an organization is at, or to kind of get a feel for where the team's at maturity wise, is the daily scrum. And I think this is a really a misunderstood. I'm not going to say people get it wrong, but I think it's really misunderstood, and we can diagnose a lot with it. For example, if they're calling it a daily stand-up, maybe they don't understand the nature of the event. Maybe it's turned into a status report, or maybe it's turned into a problem-solving session, or maybe it's turned into a Q&A with the product owner, right? So these are some really common anti-patterns in this really important event that we see. When it turns into that, the team's not collaborating on their work, and they're not looking at their sprint goal progress, and they're not adapting their sprint backlog, and they're probably having some trouble with some work that's stuck. They're probably not looking at item aging and all these great things to make sure they're making progress and optimizing their chances of hitting their sprint goal. So that's usually where I look first. And it's not that they're getting it wrong. It could just be a misunderstanding of the event. And so it's a great way to kind of, for me as a new Scrum Master in your organization, kind of diagnose where we're at. It gives me great ideas on where I could teach and coach and mentor and train, and hopefully help the team just get a little bit better so that next sprint, we have a great outcome. We hit that value that's in the sprint goal, and we get ready for another great sprint, hopefully with really happy stakeholders.
Okay, good. So just to kind of a follow-up, I'm thinking as a Scrum Master, once you join in on a new team, right, the daily Scrum, I definitely agree, it's a very important event. But how do you actually try to help the team? Like, do you attend the daily Scrum, or
Sure.
how do you do that?
Yeah, after I observe a few, I just, I'm not going to just, I really try hard not to just swoop in and just start directing, right? I want to make sure I see how things are going. I might ask for their permission to facilitate a few daily scrums. And if they, for example, are just staring at me, trying to give me a status, I might just turn my back and tell them to continue, right? I give them a really kind of interesting cue that kind of reinforces the idea that it's not about me, the Scrum Master, it's about their collaboration. And so based off of what I see, yeah, I think I would attend. I would make sure that they're cool with me facilitating. I might even actually reteach the event real quick at the beginning of a daily scrum just to make sure they understand the purpose and what we're after and what that could look like. But I would really want to see first where they're at before I would do anything concrete to change.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, so hopefully I got the job. We'll see what Daria thinks. So I'm kind of curious, Daria, the way that I went about answering that question. If you were hiring a Scrum Master, would that kind of answer work? Is there something there that was missing? Something that you liked? Like, how would you evaluate those two answers? And be kind.
Yeah. Well, I think there isn't one right answer, and I guess this is what why it is difficult with all those questions. What I was trying to get with this question is to get some of your experiences with the teams, right? And you talked about some of the common challenges that we would see in a daily Scrum, right? So that gave me more of a view of how you work with the teams, right? You talked about, well, I can teach them, there might be a coaching opportunity. So that was a good way for me to see and more in how you interact with the team, right? Based on your experience. And also, actually, my follow-up question was, the reason I added it is that was kind of a check for me saying, okay, does this person actually understand the role of a Scrum Master in the daily Scrum? So for me, it was an opportunity to kind of poke you and say, well, do you attend the daily Scrum? Because, the Scrum Master isn't in the daily Scrum normally. And once again, it's more about trying to understand how you approach the framework from a practical point of view. And I think, it was good. I think it was a very good example. And there's so many other things that you could have said, right? But you decided to focus on daily Scrum, and I think that's a great one aspect of the Scrum framework that a lot of companies are getting wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's such a good question that you've come up with here, because there's a lot of opportunity for the candidate to go wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? So they could immediately start complaining about a past employer, a past situation, and you want to avoid that. Right? Mm-hmm. It's a negatively slanted question, but you can always turn it back to a positive. Right? And I think that's really important from an interviewing perspective, that as soon as I'm asked this kind of question, it's, well, we can learn a lot from looking at the daily Scrum. It's not that you're doing it wrong, is that there's opportunities to learn and improve and to teach and to coach. And so I think that attitudinally, that's what I want to see in a Scrum Master. I want to see that optimism and positivity. I don't want to see everyone gets the sprint review wrong and it's so terrible. It's like, well, then if it's so terrible, why haven't you fixed it?
Yeah.
Why don't you have ideas here? And so you got to be super careful with those, because it's a really tricky question, right? Mm-hmm. And so I want to approach this question in a way that I can put a positive look on it, that I can display the fact that I understand I'm there to diagnose and to help teach and coach and mentor. I want to show some knowledge about an event. To your point, Daria, the follow-up question is excellent, because if I show up and say, well, yeah, I have to attend and I have to lead it, well, then we just learned something about that candidate, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so my approach is with these categories of questions: positive angle, opportunities to learn, share a little bit of experience having dealing with this, but really try to get it away from that negative slant as quickly as you can.
Yeah, I think I definitely want to kind of second that it's not an opportunity to complain or rant about the challenges you've seen, but it's more about sharing some of those practices or tools you used, or helping your team be more successful with something that they might maybe misunderstand in the Scrum framework,
Yeah, I think it's also important to keep in mind when you're interviewing for these Scrum Master roles, a lot of these hiring managers or the people making the decision need your help. And what they need to see from you is someone who could be a good a good partner, someone who's going to affect good change, someone who's going to look at things and not necessarily be judgmental or critical, but helpful, right? So it's an interesting aspect of our role when we're hiring into it, because these people usually need our help. Yeah. Right. And so they're not looking for, you're doing this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. They're looking for, here's a new thing we can try to get this sprint fixed, or to get to a better outcome.
Yeah. Here's how I can help you. Really, that's really an opportunity to already start building that relationship, right? And then the understanding that I'm coming into this organization to work with you and to help you be successful as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good, first question. So Daria, thanks for bringing that forward. Thanks for letting me take a crack at it. That's always fun. We need your feedback. So let us know in the comments, everybody. Do you like this type of format? Are you interested in Scrum Master interview questions, the path to becoming a Scrum Master, how the first sprint could look, how the first 90 days look? Let us know in the comments what's interesting to you and how we can help. Have you had any questions that stumped you? A lot of you out there are Scrum Masters who have interviewed. Put your toughest Scrum Master questions in the comments, and I'll tell you what, maybe Daria and I will turn those into videos. We'll hit Daria with a difficult one next time. We'll see. I'm sure she's going to do great, but we'll let her take a crack at a few of these too. And yeah, just excited to see your feedback. Like and subscribe so you don't miss a video. And we'll throw an end screen up, but we need a new one. We'll get Daria's image and all of that worked in here. Some videos are going to pop up. We worked on a Scrum Master framework product with Daria, so you're going to be able to check that out along with the Measuring Agility class. Both of those are up here on YouTube and in the community. Check those out. Again, like and subscribe. Leave us your comments. We love your feedback. We need it. And for Daria, I'm Ryan. Go forward, do some great interviews. We'll see you next time.
See you next.